in the arts, very prominent. This, I think, is one of the paintings. The master is on vacation, so the cows play. And I think we have an American expression which says, when the cat's gone, the mice play. Here, when the master of the farm is gone, the cows and sheep relax. Over the years, the arts culture, initiated by Atatürk, has gained a momentum all its own. However, there is more to art than visual arts, musical arts, performing arts. Starting in 1933, Atatürk invited a number of very accomplished musicians and musicologists and opera impresarios. Here are some of them. But independent of that, Atatürk was involved in a revolutionary act in Turkish performing arts. As it turns out, in June of '34, the Shah of Iran was about to visit Ankara, and Atatürk was looking around and thinking, brainstorming as to what Turkey should show the Shah. So he gathered his close associates and then posed the question, what shall we show the Shah of Iran? Well, many suggestions were made, but Atatürk said, come on guys, he has a lot of that in Iran. Let's show him something that he cannot find in Iran. And as everybody was sitting there perplexed, he said we should show him something that will emphasize the difference between the two countries, two societies. Let's put on an opera for him. A Turkish opera. And so the first Turkish opera has that as Genesis. And Atatürk himself determined what the subject of the opera should be. It was to be an Iranian legend, a Persian legend, which showed that Iran and Turkey are actually cousins. According to this legend, it well may be. The story is based on the fact that King Feridun had two sons, twins, who went their separate ways, just like Turkey and Iran. But then they came back together. And so this was presented to Adnan Saygun. Well, first of all, a fellow by the name of Egeli wrote the libretto for that. But there was yet to be written the music and the staging. Well, Adnan Saygun, who was 27 years old, had just returned from Germany, I believe, where he studied on a government scholarship. He was teaching music, and so he was invited by Atatürk to his palace, or to his residence, and said to him, we want an opera, a Turkish opera written, and you're going to be the writer. Of course, there was joy on this young man, in this young man's heart. So he asked several questions. Do you have the singers for the solos? No. Is there a chorus? No. Is there an orchestra? No. How much time do we have? 1 month. In 1 month. An opera was created and staged. There's a story which says that during that month, Atatürk was getting a little nervous, so he asked the Soviet ambassador to go and look at some of the performances, because Soviets were big, Russians were big on opera. And so the ambassador went, I guess his name was Karahan. He went, came back after a few performances and reported that everything is on course. And so Atatürk personally went to review a performance in the making. This was an act of revolution for Turkish culture. Here's the Shah of Iran, followed by Atatürk himself, followed by Karl Ebert, who introduced to Turkey opera before he himself introduced it to Los Angeles. As the years passed, Atatürk's dream came about. Infrastructure has been laid, is evolving, and it is paying off handsomely. Until 1980s, Turkey was a non-destination for tourists, or relatively ineffectual, or it was not a major destination for tourists. In a couple of weeks, Istanbul will be officially declared as the culture capital of Europe. It is now, I understand, the 6th or the 7th destination for tourists. Much of that is due to cultural tourism. Significantly, Turkey's income from tourism is per capita more than $1,000 more than Iran's per capita gross national product. And Iran is an oil exporting country, which Turkey is now. The major factor in the difference is cultural tourism. Both Iran and Turkey share the same climate, some of the archaeological history, and yet Istanbul, not Tehran, is poised to be cultural capital. Going back to where we started, here's a major paradox. While the book burner, the PhD from Heidelberg University, was saying, when I hear culture, I reach for my pistol, a group of career military officers educated in military academies, having spent many, many years in the trenches of World War I, well, before that, the Balkan Wars, World War I, and then the War of Independence, were saying, we want culture. Culture is what the Turkish government is all about. Atatürk had many dimensions, one of which was the love for dance. And here in his latter days, he's seen dancing a Viennese waltz, very much European. Here he is, at the same occasion, dancing a traditional zeybek. The lady he was dancing with, according to legend, was about 18 years old at the time. She became a major performer in Turkish artistic circles. As we witness Turkey's struggle to move forward on all fronts and occasionally stumble, it is important to understand how the process began. I showed this picture because it shows Atatürk's body being brought down from down towards the Galata Bridge area, and it comes through two streets that face a building called Han. Anyway, it used to be a bank building. It became the first seat of Sabancı University. It is now the home of a small gallery in its casa, in its vault. A book is coming out in a month where I show all of the newborn spaces that have converted themselves from being blights on the scene to being major art galleries.
You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Professor Reisman. Of course, I should bring to the attention of our audience that Professor Reisman is the author of 6 books on modern Turkey. And besides the 12 books he's earlier written on engineering and management, the 6 books that we would be more interested in would be Turkey's Modernization, Refugees from Nazism and Atatürk's Vision, Post-Ottoman Turkey, Classical European Music and Opera, Shoah, Turkey, the US, and the UK. So he's writing on many dimensions of Kemalist Turkey, and you should definitely read some of his books. And he's a very prolific writer, both on his original career, engineering, and also his sort of second career, modern Turkey. So you
Fourth career.
Fourth career? Okay.